Well, he showed that versus Rhode Island. I know it's only one game, but Remy Martin is solid. Cade Cunningham's pretty good. Luka Garza, of course, is excellent. So I'd say those three players are right now the best in college basketball. And can I predict a sleeper team? It's hard to say, but Boston College could be the sleeper team because they almost win. They almost beat Villanova at the 2K Empire Classic. Um, it's just really, really hard to say. So I would probably say Boston College at the moment. Thanksgiving football preview. Thanksgiving football is a huge NFL tradition that happens every year with the Detroit Lions and the Dallas Cowboys. The Lions host the Texans, and the Cowboys play their bitter rival, the Washington football team. But for the first time since 2005, there will only be two games, and there'll be no night game. Since the Baltimore Ravens and Pittsburgh Steelers game that was supposed to happen on Thursday night has been moved to Sunday because of multiple COVID tests. We talked that on the first, or we discussed that in the earlier part of the podcast. But I will give you my thoughts on the games that will be played on Turkey Day. Lions versus Texans. Well, when this game was originally scheduled, both were projected to make at least a run to the playoffs. The Texans were supposed to likely win the AFC South again, and the Lions were supposed to come out of the ashes and finally make it to the playoffs and maybe even get a playoff win for the first time since 1994. But it's not going to happen because the Lions, let's be realistic, they're not making the postseason. And we know the Texans are definitely not either. It's just a shame because Deshaun Watson's so good, but he has really no one to throw to because they traded his best receiver, DeAndre Hopkins. And it seems like Matt Stafford is getting killed every day because his offensive line is terrible and his team is just not good. So, I mean, this game isn't super exciting. I'm not super psyched to watch it, but I'm going to watch it because I love football and I love sports. So, I mean, that's kind of my thoughts on that game. Predictions for the game. I do think the Lions win by 7, 31-24. I think DeAndre Swift rushes for over 100 yards. I'm not sure if Kenny Galladay is coming back. I think he's still very doubtful. Matt Stafford needs to be protected. If they can protect him, he's going to have a field day, and I think they're going to because, let's be honest, the Texans are just not good on any side of the ball. So I think the Lions doing it winning by 7 points. What do both teams need to watch out for? Well, first of all, the Lions have to play defense, and they have to be able to protect Stafford, and they need to be able to run the football. Those three things they need to do. If they do two of those three things, they win the game. On the other side, the Houston Texans need to have someone bail out Deshaun Watson or not bail out Deshaun Watson. They need someone to help Deshaun Watson. He's got to find a better target. I mean, Randall Cobb. Right now, it seems like his best receiver. That's not good. Brandon Cooks, no. Um, Kenny Stills, I mean, you got to get a better receiver for Deshaun Watson. Maybe the running game's got to get better, but they've got to figure out how to protect Deshaun Watson, and a receiver's got to step up. And the defense needs to be able to put pressure on Matt Stafford and shut down the passing game so they can force the Lions to run the ball. And if the Lions lose, does Matt Patricia get fired? I think he absolutely does. I mean, it'll technically be a mini bye for the Lions. They'll have 10 days off. And I think if Matt Patricia gets fired, then Bob Quinn does as well, because Bob Quinn was the reason why Matt Patricia's here. They were a playoff team, and they fired Jim Caldwell. What were the Lions thinking? I mean, most Lions fans thought he was a good hire at the time, but now the Lions fans are saying, you know what? We had it great with Jim Caldwell, and we got rid of him because we supposedly weren't winning many big games. And then we bring in Matt Patricia, who would dream of going 9-7. And his best record, I think, was what? 5-10-1? I don't think that's right. But last year they were terrible, and Matt Patricia is just not a good coach. So I think he gets fired if the Lions lose this game. Let's go to the other game, Washington versus Dallas. Similar to the Lions and Texans, this game doesn't seem too exciting, but it's for a playoff. Both teams are still in the playoffs despite both teams being terrible, and that division is completely awful. But again, Washington and Dallas still have a chance to make the playoffs, which is just unheard of because that division is probably the worst in football history. But again, this game could be somewhat exciting because both teams are rivals. They're usually good football games. And again, it's for a playoff spot right now. Who is the better team? Well, I would probably say the Washington football team is the better team. On paper, it's technically Dallas because they have so much talent. But Washington, I think, plays a little harder. And besides, I think the Washington football team, I think, have the brighter future because I think Ron Rivera will eventually steer this team in the right direction. I don't think the Washington football team make the playoffs this year or maybe even next year, but I definitely think they're on the right track with Ron Rivera. Who do you like in this game? Well, I like the Washington football team in this game. The Cowboys finally got their first win in a long time, and I think that kind of saved McCarthy's job because they still have a chance to make the playoffs and host the playoff game, by the way. But I do like the Washington football team in this game. And I have them winning this game actually in kind of very boring and sloppy game. I think they win 23-13. And lastly, who wins the awful NFC East? Well, I think the Eagles hold on. I think the Eagles will eventually get their act together and end up winning 6 or 7 games this season and win one of the worst division, or not the worst, one of the worst. It is the worst division ever. But I think the Eagles are able to win this division. A lot of people think the Giants are the best team. They fight hard just like Washington does, but no, I think the Eagles end up winning this division. That's my predictions.